Hi again then guys, and welcome to another tune setup for Gran Turismo Sport, a drag tune in particular, and this is of course a setup which quite a few people have been requesting for the new Nissan GT-R Nismo. We've covered, I believe, all of the other GT-Rs now, the R32, 33, 34, and the standard R35, now moving up to the pinnacle, the Nismo. However, if you haven't tuned yours up yet, you might be disappointed by the power, because as you can see, it's not as high as you might hope. It's nowhere near as high, in fact, as on Gran Turismo 6, which, if memory serves, was something like 1170 horsepower. It's not even close to that now. It's actually much closer to the R34, which is unfortunate. I mean, you kind of hope that the Nismo is going to be a monster, but it remains to be seen how quick it actually is. Plus, being a GTR, you could hope, justifiably so, that it would be quicker for top-end speed than the Skylines. Now, of course, I'd recommend increasing the power and dropping the weight as much as you can. As far as tyres, it's all-wheel drive anyway, so super softs are definitely overkill. If you want to change that up, or if you have to based on lobby regulations or whatever, then of course do whatever you need to. As far as the suspension, I've opted to go for the slammed back-end style, the reverse snowplow, and the advantage of that, on the game at least, is that it increases and improves your top-end acceleration. It will shave about 0.2 or 0.3 of a second off of your, for instance, 0 to 175 or your 0 to 200 time. For 0 to 60 and that kind of thing, it doesn't make too much of a difference, and off the line it can sometimes be a little bit slower because you can bottom out. But again, that depends on how soft the suspension is. Now, speaking of that, I've got it as soft as possible, the lowest possible frequency, anti-roll also as low as possible, and that's because the handling is very, very stiff when you have that set higher. For the dampers, again, we've got those as low as possible all round. Neutral camber to get as much tyre contact to the road as possible. Neutral toe for obvious reasons, you don't want to be dragging the tyres along. Downforce you can't adjust, but thankfully it's not that much anyway. As far as the diff, again, it doesn't matter too much, go for personal preference. As you can see, I've gone for the lowest sensitivity on both the acceleration and braking, halfway on initial torque, but as I said, that's down to you really. And as far as the gearbox, I'd recommend an auto setting of 249, which is, in other words, as high as possible. Then for the individual gears, I've got 2.3, 1450, 1046, which is as low as possible, 832, again, that's as low as it can go, 696, once again the same thing, and then 610 with a final drive of 3.67. Now, you don't have to do that. Of course, all of my drag tunes can be changed around. You can definitely make them even quicker if you want to spend more time on it. As I've said before, these aren't designed to be the fastest in the world, they're just designed to give you a head start on building your own drag car. Kind of like a very fast canvas to work from, with much better settings than what the game would give you. So, all that remains, of course, after all of that, is to see how quick it actually is. Now, as always, I've put all of the exact times for 60, 100, 150, 175 and 0 to 200, all of course from a standing start in the description below, if you want to check that, compare it to your own, compare it to my other tunes, etc, etc. But the quick rundown is, this car with this tune can hit 60 in 2 seconds, it can hit 100 in 4.3, 150 in 9.1, 175 in 12.6, which is a pretty nice number to be working with, and the magic double ton, 200 miles per hour, from a standing start, can arrive in 17.7 seconds. Now, technically speaking, you can actually get to 200 a couple of fractions of a second quicker than that, because of course, if you're running from the start line, which I am, because that's the only way to get the accurate time, you're basically getting up around 200 up a hill. So, of course, on a flat road, it's going to go even quicker than that. Plus, the road curves a little bit. So the reality is, it's actually doing 0 to 200 in probably more like 17.6, maybe 17.5 instead of 0.7. And of course, that is once again with an automatic gearbox, which I always like to use because I'm lazy. So if you do choose to use manual, if you try to get your launch even better, get it at the right RPM instead of just redlining it, all of these little things can make a big difference, and overall it can add up to say 0.1 or 0.2 of a second quicker overall. But the top end speed incidentally is up around 250 on this track, so it's pretty quick. even though of course the power is no way near as high as it used to be. However, if you do want to use this car, I hope you have a lot of fun with it, and be sure to check out all of my other GTR tunes. We've done ones for others as well, like the Supra, and of course that's it for this build. So click through at the end to see my others, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.